when I was about 7 or 8 years old. My family took me to a man-made lake in South Georgia that people treated like a cheap beach for the day. It was basically a huge dugout pond with sand dumped around it, a few palm trees planted for decoration, and an entrance fee so families could park, grill food, and let their kids swim. There was also a tall, badly built water slide that everyone knew was dangerous, and kids were always getting scraped or hurt on it. My parents parked our car near the shore, directly facing a small sandy island sitting about 30 yards out in the water. The island was nothing more than a raised clump of sand, but kids loved swimming out to it and standing there like it was something special. I wasn't a strong swimmer, but the water was only a little deeper than my height, so I could bounce off the bottom and move forward little by little. I remember pushing myself out toward that island, popping up for air, then dropping back down with my feet touching the muddy bottom. The water was warm, cloudy, and full of stirred-up sand from everyone swimming around. I had already gone out to the island once that day and decided to do it again by myself. As I bounced forward, my foot came down on something soft instead of the bottom, and it stopped me suddenly. At first, I thought it was another kid diving under the water, but then my toes slid over something shaped wrong. I felt what was clearly a nose press against my foot, solid and unmoving. Before I could pull away, my toes brushed across hair that flowed gently between them in the water. It was long, fine hair, drifting slowly, not attached to anything moving. I jerked my foot back and lost my balance, splashing and gasping as I bounced backward toward shore. I didn't scream or call out because I didn't understand what had just happened. I climbed out of the water and sat down on the sand, staring at my feet and rubbing them like something was stuck to my skin. I stayed there for a long time, watching other people swim and kids jump into the water like nothing was wrong. Eventually, I heard adults yelling a child's name loudly from different parts of the park. Parents were walking fast along the shoreline, asking people if they had seen a little boy. The mood around the lake changed quickly as more adults joined the search, and people stopped swimming. Someone pointed toward the island, and a few men waded out into the water near where I had been bouncing earlier. They reached down into the water, feeling around with their hands, and suddenly stopped. That's when I thought it was over. I had no idea what was about to happen next. The story isn't over. Subscribe the channel to continue. The men pulled a small body up from under the water right in front of that island, and everything went completely still. It was a little boy, pale and limp, with wet hair plastered to his head and face. His parents screamed from the shore as people backed away and made space. I recognized the exact spot where they lifted him from, and my legs started shaking without me moving. The water around the island looked the same as before, calm and harmless, like it hadn't hidden anything at all. Adults rushed the boy toward the shore, laying him on the sand, while others turned kids away from the water. I stayed seated, frozen, watching as towels were thrown over the child's body. My parents finally noticed something was wrong and came over to me, asking why I was so quiet. I didn't tell them what my foot had touched because I didn't have words for it yet. We left the park not long after, and no one talked during the drive home. That night, I scrubbed my feet in the bathtub until my skin turned red. Days later, I overheard adults talking about how the boy had gone under and never come back up. I realized then that what I felt in the water had been his face and his hair. The memory didn't fade as I got older, and it stayed clear and sharp. Years passed, and I avoided deep water whenever I could. I never learned to swim well, and I never went back to that lake. Every time my feet touched murky water, my toes curled up automatically. I could always remember the exact sensation of hair moving between them. Even now, at 47 years old, that feeling is still there in my memory. It doesn't change or soften with time. I can still see the island, the water, and the moment the body came up. That day taught me how quiet danger can be. It also taught me that a single second can tie you to someone else's death forever. I didn't understand it then, but I carry it now as an adult. One last question. If you were in her place at that moment, would you have done the same? Be honest. What does her choice deserve out of 10? Subscribe now. The best story is coming next.